All right, we'll get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the latest of our legislative webinars that we're running through the budget season here in Trenton, and we'll kind of get into some of that in a moment. For the record, if you don't know me, I'm Mike Serra. I'm the executive director of the league, and we have a number of our legislative staff on the Zoom as well. Lori Buckaloo, our deputy executive director. Paul Penna, our Director of Government Affairs, Aaron Needler, our legislative analyst. We are recording this for later viewing. The PowerPoint will be made available to you as a PDF probably by tomorrow. You might want to clean it up based on comments. I would ask that if you have a question, if you could drop it into the chat box as well. We might open it up at the end, but if you put in the question, we'll do our best to answer it. So with that, once again, I'd like to thank you for joining us, and we'll get started. But this, as you can tell, is specific related to some land use updates, land bills that we expect may get some consideration or movement between now and June 30th, and something of particular concern to local governments. Bear with me a moment. I mentioned Aaron Needler, who's on the Zoom. Aaron, could you we want to provide two items which are backdrops to what's going on, just so you have a full understanding. So, Aaron, could you address an overview of the state budget process?
Sure. So we'll call this backdrop number one. The governor proposed his FY26 budget with a $58.1 billion proposed in the budget with a $6.3 billion surplus. There is no appropriation for municipal funding relief and flat funding for energy tax receipts. We also, based on the treasurer's testimony in front of the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee, realized that there will be a probable double-digit increase in the state health benefits plan. It basically will restore the claims stabilization reserve, and that doesn't take into account what increases will be to the fund.
So, between when the governor presented his budget to the legislature in February and the deadline for him to sign a balanced budget, which is midnight of June 30th, there are going to be ongoing discussions and negotiations between the front office, the Murphy administration, and legislative leadership, and that's where we're at right now. There are hearings going on, budget hearings, and like, for instance, these Aaron mentioned the state health benefits plan. Next week, I believe, on May 15th, actually, the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee will be hearing from the state treasurer with an update on the state budget. As part of that, the committee chair, Senator Paul Sarlo, asked the treasurer for her and her office to go and give a presentation on the state health benefits and the potential for increase. So our purpose here is that as the budget gets negotiated and there's back and forth, deals get cut. So bills that don't appear to be moving suddenly may appear and move. Bills that seem to be in fast track may not get fast tracked. There's a lot of horse trading that goes on in this period of time. That's why we're doing this so folks are aware of what's going on and are prepared for it in case we need to act. The backdrop number two, and this is specifically related to housing, affordable housing. As you know, most of you probably are aware, over 430 municipalities met the January 1st deadline to submit their compliance or their intent to comply with the recent law to the program within the municipal court, within the state courts. Again, of that over 130, 159 following the statute and the right under the statute suggested a different number than what was proposed in the non-binding guidance offered by the Department of Community Affairs. The New Jersey Builders Association challenged all 159 of those municipalities that sought modifications in sort of a blanket challenge that frankly did not comport with the directive issued by the Administrative Office of the Courts. The Fair Share Housing Center filed 68 challenges of those 159, which were more individualized. And it's my understanding that over 60 of those 68 have reached settlements. The municipality has reached settlement with Fair Share. So while that is going on, and frankly, the process is being delayed by we have a 2:00 call with some of the municipalities involved, twice week, a call twice a week to get updates. A number of towns haven't received the recommendations from the program yet, so it's being delayed partially because of the actions of the challenges and the Builders Association actions have kind of led to a delay in the process. So that's the backdrop, because as all these municipalities were preparing their housing plans, the state, well, some state legislators and the governor's office has advanced what they believe is reform. And that's specifically the legislation, the three package of bills that we want to discuss here today and give you an overview of, which they call reform. We see it as preemption. And the first bill is S 1408, which is commonly referred to as the Stranded Assets Bill. And we'll go through these three in this order. So just for background, S 1408 and A 2757 was reported out of the Senate Community and Urban Affairs Committee on March 17th. So it is at second reading in the Assembly. I'm sorry, second reading in the Senate. That means it can be voted on at any voting session when it's at second reading. So it could be scheduled for a floor vote by the entire Senate. Its companion, A 2757, is been referenced to the Assembly Commerce, Economic Development, and Agricultural Committee. That bill has not had a hearing yet, so it is at first reading. Obviously, both houses need to approve identical versions of the bill before it can go to the governor. Specifically, and before we get into these bills, I just want to note that in some cases, the version in the Senate is different than the version in the Assembly. So our comments are very general. You might have very specific questions for us that maybe we can't answer in the Zoom, although we'll try to follow up with you. But because there's different language, for instance, this bill, the Stranded Assets Bill, was amended in committee and then amended again on the floor of the Senate. So it's different than the Assembly bill. So a very specific question on this bill might be different in the Senate version than the Assembly version. So our comments are general. If you have a specific question, please post it. We may just have to follow up with you offline and maybe provide sort of an FAQ of this. So getting back to the Stranded Assets Bill, this requires a municipality to permit the conversion of eligible properties, what they call as stranded assets, into mixed-use developments, which bypasses the existing variance procedure and preempting local zoning. And that's an important point. A municipality can do this on their own through the variance process. They could do it through the redevelopment process. This bill essentially preempts that discretion and indicates that it's an eligible property does not need to get the local approval, that it is essentially going to become a permitted use. So it defines an eligible property. And again, in this case, we're going off the Senate version of the bill, which is more recent. An office park that is at least 50,000 square feet or retail center of at least 15,000 square feet has a vacancy rate of 25% for at least the last 18 months preceding the application, although there seems to be some vagueness regarding what exactly how the vacancy rate is to be determined. Is it based on number of tenants? Is it based on square footage? So forth. But that's the language in the bill. And that has suffered a economic downturn over the immediately preceding 3 years, demonstrated by evidence of a loss of revenue, such as developers' expense for the premises that have exceeded revenues by at least 30% or more each year. Again, a standard that probably needs a little more clarity and definition if it ever were to become law. The Senate bill, which is again the more recent version of it, eliminated a 2-year sunset in the bill. Initially, this was being promoted as a short-term response to the pandemic and the change in the use of commercial and office properties. The amendments in the Senate removed the 2-year sunset and made it permanent. A mixed-use development, which may include the demolition of existing structures that is subject to a preemptive conversion, shall be considered a permitted use and not require a variance, which I mentioned before. So this is, again, an option municipalities can consider, have approved, and have denied, provided that the development complies with zoning requirements in the municipality's other mixed-use zone. And the Senate bill has a provision that if there's multiple mixed-use zones with different requirements, how do you make that determination? Different types of uses. One of the uses must be residential, and it shall not be industrial. In that committee hearing, we testified in opposition to what we argued was unnecessary and unwarranted preemption of local master planning. Again, we noted this could be done currently through a variance or the redevelopment process. We also noted that the criteria in the bill we thought is ripe for litigation, and also, and which is why I gave you backdrop number 2, could turn into a backdoor means to challenge a town's approved affordable housing plan and expose municipality to litigation. Essentially, one of the arguments is, why are you doing this now while towns are in the middle of the planning to meet a June 30th deadline, which again is going to be a challenge as it is. We have put out and made available to municipalities a sample resolution on this bill. I know towns have gotten it because we've gotten plenty in. We've heard from many municipalities with objections to this bill. So this will have a hot link in the PDF where you can download the resolution and act on it accordingly. And again, the assembly companion to this bill, it's important to note, is still in committee. So and the Senate bill could be voted on at any time. Again, because the governor's office has expressed support for this concept, we're concerned that it could become part of budget negotiations, and it's important for municipalities to be heard on the issue now. The next bill we wanted to discuss is S-2974, dealing with parking requirements. So I'm going to take a break and save my voice for a moment or two and let Erin speak to this one.
Thanks. So S-2974 would reduce the number of on and off street parking spots for residential development based upon the proximity to certain public transportation services. It would require DCA to set regulations allowing for a 20, 30, and 50% decrease depending on the proximity to the type of public transportation service. The league has obviously reviewed the legislation and has some concerns regarding the assumption that a reduction in parking would be effective in every instance or every project. It's certainly our position that it would be better to deal with on a case by case rather, and developers already have a process through the local government to seek relief on parking. So it seems to me that we don't really need it. Municipal officials are in the best position to determine what's appropriate for each project and also take into consideration their master plan. It's in second reading in the Senate. And the companion bill is in the Assembly, State, and Local Government Committee at this time.
Thank you, Aaron. And the third bill deals with accessory dwelling units as a right. So again, there's a little of a backstory here. You'll see that the bill is listed as ACS. That stands for Assembly Committee Substitute. And that is because in a Assembly Housing Committee earlier this year, I believe it was in February, the Housing Committee took testimony on these three bills and accessory dwelling units. The committee merged the three bills into the committee substitute, but did not advance the bill out of the committee. So ACS for A2792, A4370, and A2489 is still on the Senate and the Assembly side, is still with the Assembly Housing Committee. Interestingly, at that very same hearing, the committee did advance, and we're not focused on it for the purposes of this Zoom call, but the committee did advance a bill, A4913, sponsored by Speaker Craig Coughlin and Assemblywoman Spite, which takes a different approach. And the underlying intent of the bill is to provide state funding incentives and other incentives and preferences to municipalities that amend its master plan to incorporate what they call certain housing strategies, including ADUs, including stranded assets. So the bill that came out of committee, but hasn't proceeded any further, and has not advanced in the Senate, is trying to take a more of an incentive approach where it doesn't mandate the approval, but it does offer, the intent is to provide some incentives to it. I expect that bill is going to be subject to, if it advances any further, that is 4913, is going to be subject to additional amendments to kind of refine what those incentives are. But it's important to note that bill is out there. Getting back to the original bill that we talked about, the Assembly Committee substitute, the Senate bills for this bill came out of the committee, and it's the SCS, which stands for Senate Committee Substitute, for S2347 and S1106, is also like the other Senate bills, at second reading in the Senate. So it could be posted for a vote by the full Senate at any time. Getting into some of more of the details of this bill. Again, the ADUs will be on single family or two family dwellings, and would be considered a permitted use, provided it met these requirements, among some others. At least 300 square feet of a complete independent living facilities. The height shall not exceed the height of the primary dwelling. Shall not be located closer than 5 feet from the lot line. May provide direct exterior access that is separate from direct exterior access from the primary dwelling. Additional off-street parking shall not be required, and the installation of fire sprinklers shall not be required in an ADU that is within or an extension to a pre-existing, again, this is important, within or extension to the pre-existing primary dwelling unit. Under the amended bill, the municipality is prohibited from interpreting, applying a provision of any other municipal ordinance, policy, or regulation. So in the bill's language, to delay or deny approval of an application to develop an ADU, or conditional approval of an application to develop an ADU upon correction of a non-conforming condition. Referencing the Senate bill, language indicates no municipal ordinance or resolution shall prohibit or restrict the development of an accessory dwelling unit that complies with the requirements in the new law, And the municipality would be required to adopt one of two model ordinances that the Department of Community Affairs is directed to develop within the bill. So they would give you a choice of A or B, and you would have to adopt one of the two. So we're at just over 20 minutes right now. And I want to open this up. Again, this is intent to provide an overview of this legislation broadly, but I want to kind of open it up to further discussion of questions or comments which you may have. I see there is a question in the box. Is there an opt-in or opt-out mechanism within the proposed ADU legislation? Augusto, I assume you mean a municipal opt-in or opt-out, and
Yes, a municipal. Apologies.
in that case, no. Both bills would permit, provided the application met the criteria laid out in the bill, or at that point would be law. It would be considered essentially a permitted use, and no opt-in or opt-out. Are there any considerations for municipalities that do not have any public utilities? Only well and septic. This has been a talking point on this legislation. Danielle, if you can unmute yourself. Is this in general, or are you in a
I'm in a
specific bill?
municipality. Yeah, I'm in a municipality in Millstone Township. We do not have any public utilities. It's all well and septic throughout town.
All right, but which bill is this in reference to? Although the answer might be the same.
Well, for both, well, not two of the three, I guess, really. So it would be for both the one for the conversion of the existing business parks and also for the ADUs.
Follow up with you offline, and I'll shoot it out to the group, because I think the answers, this is the situation. I think there's different language in the different bills, even the companion bills regarding this. So I don't want to put out there, particularly since it's being recorded. I want to make sure. So we'll have this question, and I'll follow up with you specifically on it, because these issues are addressed. I don't think to our satisfaction, but I want to be exact.
Thank you.
Any other questions? You put it in the box, or if you want to unmute yourself and ask, feel free as well.
I have another question. If I remember, the first time I actually read into this was back at the league, and they mentioned the two models. One would restrict that a single family residential property could have one ADU, and there was another model that could potentially allow for more than one ADU. Is that still the case?
I think that's the same situation. I think there's different language in the different bills, and the different companion bills. We follow up with you on that. You're referring to the conference session, I think that NJPO did last year?
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Okay. I think generally, I think that is still the case, but I think the language is different in the different bills, so I'll follow up with you on it as well. I think generally, though, that's still accurate.
Thank you.
Karen Hughes has a comment. We'll look into that, Karen. If that was incorrect, we'll correct it in the PowerPoint that goes out. Any other questions or comments? All right, I'm hearing none, and these generally these have been running 30 minutes, so we're right on time as well. What I would ask is to stay tuned. Follow our notices on this. These bills could get some attention over the course of the next 6 weeks or so. Again, the budget cycle, the budget season is a busy time where a lot of deals can get cut. And then we also have later in the year, we have lame duck where we have a legislature, in the final weeks. And in this case, a new administration, we don't know who yet. So both budget season and lame duck are times where a lot of deals get cut. Legislation moves quickly, so we need to respond as well. So would ask that if you stay on top of our correspondence on this legislation, reach out to your legislators, both in the state Senate and the Assembly, with your concerns, your objections, questions you might have about it. If you hear any good information, any intelligence, please don't hesitate to give us a call. I'm going to our contact information is here as well, which I'll leave that up for a moment or two. But be prepared, to reach out as well, and if you can pass the ordinances, that will be helpful as well. This will be kept in the PDF that goes out to you. I want to open up to the floor one more time. I don't want to belabor this or take away time from people's lunch anymore than we already have. While I wait, we would do. You will receive a copy of this you'll receive a copy of the PDF. As everyone who registered to attend will get a copy of this with a link to the video as well. A participation certificate. I'll follow up with you separately on that. I would also say, we are doing a quick promotion for the league conference. I want to call your attention that both delegate registration and the hotel block open up on the same day this year, which has not been the case in previous years. So I just want to flag that as a July 1. Please stay in touch, stay attuned. We'd appreciate you reaching out to your legislators on it. Share us any information you may have. And with that, unless there's any other questions, we've been pretty good about keeping this to 30 minutes. I'll do one more commercial before I forget. We're going to be doing one more of these webinars on the state health benefits system after the treasurer's testimony. That is scheduled for May 16th. You'll hear more about that lunch and learn in the upcoming days. So unless there's any other questions, we'll wrap up. Thank you all for joining us today, and have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.